Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to O Passion, Singapore, Malaysia Global. And this particular group was started in November 2020. And our first public webinar was on 30th September 2021. We're coming around to another year next in a couple of months. Now, initially, it was Dr. Bill Williams who helped us put our confidence together to start this webinar. We meet every Thursday, and then the mission of this group is to ignite passion for humanity, to nurture mindset and leadership for passion and for blessing the world. And then together to form as the Lord leads to form passion groups for good causes. We believe this particular movement of making the world a better place is a
బయట లైట్
divine movement of God. And we thank Mr.
పనిచేస్తుందా
Ashma Farah for answering God's call to run this humanitarian movement to make the world a better place. So let me play this intro video. There is also the song created by the speaker tonight, Mr. Jeffrey Morlock. Let me look for it here.
Hello, and a wonderful day to you. I hope that you will join us Thursday morning, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're going to be talking about crafting futures with imagination. In this, we'll talk about science fiction's visionary power, how it inspires readers to dream big. Next week, we're going to talk about the mind's role in shaping reality. And both of these talks are chapters in the book that you'll see at the end of this. So thank you. We look forward to seeing you.
We've been drifting down the river, letting others guide the way, losing sight of what we're made for in the noise of what they say. But there's a spark in every heart where your dreams are meant to grow. Take a step to claim your story. Put
Just a minute. Stop, huh? Let me start again.
say, but there's a spark in every heart where your dreams are meant to grow. Take a step to claim your story. Put your inner light aglow. Set a goal, make it yours. Watch your spirit start to soar. Feel the fire in your soul. Take control. Behold, let's live for purpose of every choice we make. Forgive those burdens for all our hearts' sake. With kindness we're paving a road towards true. On purpose, let's walk through this life with a view. We've held grudges like they're anchors, keeping us in heavy chains. Every memory stirs the thunder, every scar replays the pain. But you can write a letter to the past, let it go into the breeze. Find your peace in sweet surrender, set your heart and mind at ease. Let it fade, let it heal. Find the calm in what you feel. Trust gentle way, free yourself, be brave. Let's live on purpose with every choice we make. Forgive those burdens for all our hearts' sake. With kindness we're paving a road towards the feed. Every smile you share, every hand you hold, lights a fire in this world, makes our spirits bold. Success ain't just a crown, it's the love we give. In the bonds we build, that's the way to live. So reach out to one another with a word, a gentle deed. Every act of care we offer plants a tiny hopeful seed. We lift each other higher, happiness our sweet reward. In the joy of giving freely, we're connected, we're restored. Let's live on purpose with every choice we make. Forgive those burdens for all our hearts sake. With kindness we're paving our road towards true. On purpose, let's walk through this life with a view. So choose your path with courage, let those grudges fade away. Spread compassion like a river, every moment, every day. On purpose we're rising, our hearts alive and new. Together let's live out this life with a view.
Wow. Wow. Let me come back to you. Stop share. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all passion. And as just want to reiterate a slide on that video, set a goal, make it yours. Watch your spirit start to soar. Feel the fire in your soul. Take control. Be whole. Our speaker tonight, Mr. Jeffrey Morlock, he brings a heartfelt voice to his writing, to his thoughts, shaped by real life experiences in military, communities, and a family centered life. His work blends emotional honesty with a touch of mystery, capturing how ordinary moments often carry the deepest meaning. So, here tonight, his topic is crafting futures with imagination, a continuation of last week where he talks about crafting vision. Brother Jeffrey, the platform is yours. Take as long as is necessary to capture and empower us. Thank you.
Wow. I love how you make me sound so cool.
You are.
I am, I am excited to be here and I am blessed to be here. And I want to thank each and every one of you because this platform is a platform that gives me the impetus to move out and expand and to help those folks that need to be helped and are willing to accept it. So thank you so very, very much. Not only for the platform, but for all you folks that are working in the background here and keeping this going and keeping it live. I'm thrilled with it. I love it, and I'm grateful for you and for what you're doing, every one of you. So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it.
Mm,
It's a This morning we're going to be talking about crafting futures using our imaginations, right? We've all heard of science fiction. Its visionary power really inspires readers and moviegoers and that sort of things to dream big, and it can be used for showing how our imagination actually bridges fiction to reality, and it illustrates how these thoughts that we have in our imagination, how they shape the futures and mirror our personal vision crafting, like we had talked about last week. Of course, there's also the nonfiction science stuff of neuroscience, heart-brain coherence, the hemisync, the audio technology that show, uh, in numbers and in research, how emotional coherence and altered states actually enhance our creativity. And today we're going to talk about some real world examples of that. And we'll also share what I call a sci-fi vision spark exercise. It's going to be encouraging us to write a vivid present tense story of your future, right? Fostering belief in the possibility of that. So personally, I have always loved sci-fi. I think it is the cat's meow, as they say, right? It's a genre that has inspired a ton of revolutionary ideas, especially over the last 100 years. When you look at technology and where we were and where we come from, it has really taken center stage. They've got so many sci-fi effects out there, you can't tell what's real and what's not. Well, imagine my surprise to learn that real science, and I'm talking about the stuff of frequency, vibration, stuff created from the unseen, right? All that stuff. Sci-fi, that is sci-fi brought to life. 50 years ago, we had things like scanners and other movies where you use the power of the mind to do things, and today we're actually seeing that in everyday life, and we know that it's real through some of the research and things like that. It helps us to show how thoughts really do shape reality and inspire some real world change. From Isaac Asimov, I don't know if a lot of you have heard of Asimov, but his galactic predictions go to there was a series of movies. It's called Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune, and these visionaries plant seeds. Speaking of Asimov and other sci-fi writers, they plant seeds in our collective imagination, much like those we've talked about previously. Oh, kind of a sidebar. I mean, incidentally, that is a thing. The collective imagination. There's individual imagination, and then there's consciousness, individual consciousness. But there's also a collective imagination and collective consciousness. And it gets really deep really quick. But today we're going to talk a little more about how the imaginative leaps of science fiction writers connect to the power that we have in thought. And we're going to be blending science and spirituality into a practical tool that'll be able to help you ignite our own creative potential, if you will. And in this way, I'm hoping that you're going to see science fiction has a visionary power that goes far beyond just regular entertainment. It's a mental playground, right? Where thoughts become blueprints for reality. And by crafting vivid futures, if you will, in the mind, our own futures, right? These movies in our head, authors and such can demonstrate the thought to things process that we've talked about before. And each one of you have the ability to be that science fiction author by running an imaginative story in your head. And the more detail you put into that, the stronger it becomes. Now, that whole thoughts to things process we talked about before, and it's what we call the imagination, as it bridges the seen and unseen worlds. Now, in Asimov's Foundation series, there's a guy, a character named Harry Seldon, and he uses in the movie Seldon's predictive models to guide entire civilizations, much like the personal visions crafted last week using last week's exercise. Seldon has a thought-driven plan to shorten the galactic dark age, right? And it's actually mirrored in how we focus our thoughts and how we shape our future through our own imagination, steering choices toward the desired outcomes. In the same way, Frank Herbert's Dune, the movie series, I think there's 4 or 5 Dune episodes of movies. It features a character named Paul Atreides. I think his name's Paul. Anyway, he's got a very disciplined mind and a very emotional focus, and he uses that to shape the destiny of an entire planet. Now, Paul's ability to visualize and lead reflects our continuing theme, right? Namely, that thoughts, which are fueled by intention, creates reality. And we talked a bit last week, like Walt Disney's version of Disneyland, or Nelson Mandela's dream, right? These sci-fi visions, in a sense, show how a single idea, if you hold it with intent and hold it vividly, it will spark creation and start to get your reality moving in that direction. Buddhist teachings also echo this kind of information as well. And they also suggest that a focused mind crafts reality like other religions do. Same thing for Christian scripture, Proverbs 4:23, I believe, in various translations, emphasizes the importance of guarding one's heart, right? Because it's the source of one's life and actions. And all of the verses highlight that the heart, in the context that we're talking about, represents one's inner self, encompassing thoughts, emotions, and motivations. Therefore, protecting it from harmful influences is crucial for a spiritually righteous and fulfilling life. There's another verse in Proverbs 23:7 where I think in the King James it says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." Right? And this emphasizes the importance of the person's inner thoughts, how they shape their character and their actions, while often quoted that verse when I looked it up, I thought, I used to just say, "As a man thinketh, so is he," and that verse is often quoted like that. But the full verse, where it talks and says, "For as he thinks in his heart, he is," these teachings help inspire us and give us the idea that we can dream a bold vision that comes into reality from what we have in our heart and mind. So, anyway, it seems to me that sci-fi and imagination really can't be separated, since sci-fi, in my opinion, is largely created through the imagination, and as probably oxymoronic as it might sound, there is imagination science, or the science of imagination, that explores how the mind creates, manipulates, and uses mental imagery to stimulate and simulate our experiences, to solve problems, shaping emotions and behaviors. Now, last week we talked about the RAS, the reticular activating system, that acts as a filter for information, determining what sensory input reaches our conscious awareness. That's a system that works for information originating outside of the body, right? As information coming into us from external sources. It essentially decides what information the brain pays attention to and what it doesn't, right? What it ignores and says, I don't need to see that. When we talk about imagination, which is a cognitive process, a thinking process, it's inside the body, obviously, right? Involving the brain's neural network, particularly in what we call the default mode network. Now, the default mode network, DMN is the acronym for it. It's a group of interconnected brain regions that become really active when the mind is not focused on external stimuli, right? It's not focused outwardly, it's focused inwardly. It has a focus on internal stimuli, like when we allow our minds to wander, right? In a sense, when we daydream, or when we engage in self-reflection or what if scenarios, where our imagination just starts rolling this film we're creating in our mind, and it really activates that. Now, it's considered a default state because it becomes active when the brain isn't actively engaged in things resulting from external stimuli. In other words, when we're imagining something, right, that's when this thing kicks in. It engages the areas like the prefrontal cortex for decision making, the hippocampus for memory, and it allows us to construct scenarios that feel real to us. If you've ever noticed, when you get into I mean, man, when you're in your zone and it feels real. I mean, your body's acting like it's real. It's influencing our emotions and our actions, and the process can shape our beliefs and also our perceptions. So it does this as imagined experiences, and they can be very vivid and impactful, and so much so that they can feel very real and be as vivid and impactful as real experiences. There's a phenomenon leveraged in practices like visualization, creative problem solving, stuff like that. That's when this thing kicks in. And it makes me think of when I talk about the default network mode and I talk about the reticular activating system. It reminds me of a verse in the Bible, and I can't think of where it is right now, but you'll recognize it because it says, we have been fearfully and wonderfully made. And this is some of the stuff that I think that they're talking about. Not so much that, look how gorgeous we are, how well we work, but we have things that happen inside of us that really, really are magical that we sometimes don't even know. And it really is that we are wonderfully made. Now, what makes this really cool, right, and ties it all in with creating reality is that the body, it doesn't know the difference between real experiences or the ones that we imagine, right? Science is full of clues about this, especially the new quantum system, and the new quantum sciences that you just gotta love. And to that end, the Heart Math Institute's research shows us that positive emotions like gratitude, they create heart coherent rhythms, or put another way, they create coherent heart rhythms with the brain, and heart and brain coherence that give us mental clarity, a lot better mental clarity. They affect positively our decision making. They did a groundbreaking study back in 1995 where participants focusing on gratitude showed improvement in that heart rate variability. Now, the heart rate variability that was improved is basically just aligning the heart and brain synchronicity, so to speak, to optimize, to make the outcomes, make what you want to do more optimal or better, right? Now, HRV, as it's called, heart rate variability, it's talking about the changes in the time between our heartbeats. And you'd think, what does the difference in changes between the times of our heartbeats have to do with anything? And I'll bring you back to fearfully and wonderfully made, because that the distance of time, or the time between heartbeats, refers to the time between the heartbeats, and it's a measure of the health and flexibility of our autonomic nervous system. I mean, who knew, right? And that thing, the autonomic nervous system, is what controls things like heart rate and breathing and digestion, right? A high HRV is generally seen as a sign of good health, while a low HRV might indicate that you got stress or illness, or perhaps some other problems. And this all kind of mirrors, getting back to Dune, the main character's name was Paul. This mirrors his emotional focus in the movie, where clarity amplifies his vision. And this type of coherence helps us understand how emotions amplify our thoughts. And then when we combine the intentional thoughts with gratitude, we align our mind to draw possibilities into us faster, just as sci-fi authors can craft their own futures that seem to come to life in books and film, obviously, and ultimately that make the jump into real life, which we'll talk a little about that too, because it's pretty exciting stuff. The Monroe Institute, which has done some incredible work. I mean, man alive, for anybody that really likes some on the edge, over the top stuff, they take things further using sound technology that's called hemisync, which is just hemispheric synchronization. It's talking about linking the two parts of your brain, that's all. And they do this to induce theta brain waves for accessing expanded states of consciousness. Now, as a matter of fact, the Monroe Institute is the leading education center that's dedicated to the study of human consciousness. I mean, for 50 years, they've been doing this stuff. And it's welcomed as explorers, and I do mean explorers from around the world. These explorers are explorers of a kind that don't normally associate with real life, in that they're expanding consciousness, and they're actually channeling entities and learning stuff. So I mean, it's really, really kind of cool. And they offer experiential programs to allow individuals that they can pursue their own personal journey into expanded awareness. And they've got the science to back it up and to help do it. And these states of expanded awareness, like you might consider like a deep meditation. That's probably a good way to look at it. That allows us, when you're there, kind of to tap into the field of infinite possibilities. According to it's like the quantum field, or tapping into the spiritual field. I'll put it that way. And we'll explore some of that next week. But if you've never listened to some of the amazing adventures that the Monroe travelers had taken, I encourage you to just Google it. There was a 2019 study, excuse me, that found that when they took Monroe's hemisync and they paired it with HeartMath's coherence tools, it actually enhanced group consciousness, which is another whole ball game. And that further supports the idea that thoughts influence the energetic fields and interact with energetic fields around us. A lot of you may have heard of Arthur C. Clarke. I mean, he's a sci-fi writer from back in the day. Came up with A Space Odyssey. Remember A Space Odyssey, a 2001 A Space Odyssey? The sequel came out in 2010, I think. Its characters in the movie transcend reality through altered states, primarily through the influence of this big black mysterious monolith just hanging out in space. And this reflects also how imagination accesses the unseen, and it aligns with Taoist teachings, where flowing with universal energy sparks creativity, and it supports the ideas again that thoughts shape reality through these focused states and through expanded awareness. And these findings all show that the bold visions that we create in sci-fi and in our imagination are also well rooted in the science of thought, and that's what helps us to empower boldly and to create with intention. So now I'm sure science fiction doesn't just imagine. I mean, it really, to me, it inspires, and it gets your jazz going, as I said. Another famous guy that we probably know, H.G. Wells. He came out with some things. The one that I liked, The Time Machine, back in the day when it came out, it sparked discussions about theoretical physics. There's a young lady, I don't know if she's young, but frame of reference, Margaret Atwood. She did a book that was called The Handmaid's Tale, which is really interesting because it helped shape social discourse on gender and power. Now, somebody you've all heard of and brings it more contemporary for us, Mr. Musk, right? Elon Musk. He is a self-described sci-fi enthusiast, and he was very heavily influenced by authors like Robert Heinlein and Isaac Asimov in his visions for space travel, right? This inspiration led him to found SpaceX. That was in 2002. And his whole, excuse me, his whole aim for the vision of space travel, making it more accessible and affordable by developing these reusable rockets that he's done. I mean, if you've ever watched one of these rockets come back and land out in the middle of nowhere and hit a 50 by 50 foot platform, it's absolutely amazing. Now, his fascination with science fiction, particularly the possibility of colonizing a long-term human survival in space, right, fueled by his ambition to turn those fictional dreams into reality, he's got it going on. I mean, that was his original thought seed, which we talked about last night. It was colonizing Mars. I mean, he had a picture of people on Mars, and to make that happen, he had to do all this other stuff. And that really is how it grew into reality, much like the seed that we plant in our own minds. These examples that I've just talked about a little bit show how single thoughts can be crystallized into our story or even our vision. And then from there, they kind of ripple into reality, and they echo our theme that thoughts do indeed initiate creation, right? They make reality for us. And the whole process, again, is mirrored even in the Hindu, the name of it, um, what is that? It's Sen Senkalpa. I think it's Senkalpa. It's called, but it is a resolve for manifesting dreams, or in the biblical, in the scriptures, the Holy Bible, the Christian Bible, it talks about renewing your mind, right? And I think that is Romans 12, I believe, somewhere. I mean, if you Google it, you'll see it. But that verse emphasizes a shift in thinking to move away from worldliness, the outer influence, and moving inward to the inner influence. Like Malala, we talked about her, I think, her vision for education, um, or Disney's dream, right? Which we'll probably talk about more. He's a perfect example simply because he literally started drawing it out. He put it on pen and paper, and even that's got a power that we haven't talked about yet. And through what he had done, and through these other people, their influence, it just proved thoughts can change the world. Right? We've got a bold imagination, and with it, we can spark our own reality and turn fiction into fact. So I would certainly encourage you to dream bigger. We've heard that a lot. Dream bigger, right? Do something good. Do at least one good thing to go toward your future, because we're about to explore a harness of wonderful imaginative power, right? Um, and that's ours, and we can take it in any direction you want. And to help us do that, I've got an easy exercise. It was inspired by the bold speakers we've talked about, Isaac Asimov, Elon Musk. I mean, that's what really got me jazzed up and got me thinking, okay, well, how can we help, right? And it helps us to be able to plant a thought in our mind garden in a way, like we talked about last week. It's called a sci-fi vision spark. uh, I don't know why I named it that way. I just kind of liked it. So the first thing you do is, and I think I've sent this to you, Mabel. If not, oh, my apologies. I'll send it
Yes,
immediately.
yes, I have got it. Yes.
Okay, so it's available, and you send it
Yeah.
to whoever you want to. But the first
Yes.
thing to do is, like always, you get comfortable. Find a quiet spot where you can feel easy. Take in some deep breaths. Remember, there is science that shows that if your exhales are longer than your inhales, then that will get you into a relaxed state, into your sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system quicker, which is what you want to do. So just make the exhale longer, and do 3 or 4 of those. Next, you want to dream your future, right? What's your dream? Is it music, financial success, writing, or other media? Whatever it is, imagine it vividly. Where are you? What are you doing? What do you see? What do you hear? Put in some details, right? Once you have that flowing, write a mini story. It could be 50 or 100 words. Write your future as if you see it and it's happening right now. For example, I might run something like, I'm running my own business. I've got creative people all around me. I'm feeling proud and alive because we're developing things. Might even want to give those people names. Oh, Jeffrey's over here doing this. I've got Susan. Susan's writing this. Oh, this one's working on code. Make it real, right? Use present tense. Make it feel real that way. Bring it to life. Read your story out loud to yourself. Picture every detail. Feel grateful as if it's already yours. I tell you, you could write a book about that. I mean, just on that one thing alone, like a wish or a special prayer. And keep it going, keep it up. Spend a few minutes every day doing this for at least 30 days. Now, I like the number 40. I think 40 is a number of completion. And when you do things for 40 days straight, rain for 40 days and nights, 40 days, 40 years in the wilderness, that kind of thing, it just 40 is a good number. I say in the exercise, 30 days is enough, but if you can carry it an extra 10, I think it'll help you. And jot down your thoughts, right? And actions, and just start leaning into that dream. Like Selden's psychohistory or Musk's rockets, your story can be bold, but you want to make it believable, right? Let your imagination roar, but keep your vision exciting and something you can believe in. And even if you just say, hey, this is the next chapter, the next big chapter in my life, if you get doubtful about what you're trying to envision, kind of soften it up, make it more general. By that I mean, if I'm imagining that I'm sitting like, I don't know, some mogul in a room that's filled with gold coins and I got billions of dollars. Well, I know my consciousness is not agreeing with that because they're like, Jeffrey, you don't have that. So, but I can very easily picture myself getting more abundance every day or making more money or a big check coming into me. I can make things happen that point that direction and make it believable so that I can actually believe it. And then when I start believing it, I can feel grateful for it. And as I think I've said before, and I actually got this from Dr. Joe Dispenza, that appreciation and gratitude is the ultimate in receivership, because when you appreciate something and when you're grateful for it, it means you've already taken custody of it. You've already received it. And that is absolutely powerful. So your imagination is a spark. It can ignite your reality, just like sci-fi authors turn dreams into stories, and those stories change the world. By crafting bold visions, right? The seeds that you plant in your mind grow into your future. Now, I think next week we're going to talk about how these well, we're about next week, but I'll leave it right there. I think I've probably, I don't know how long I've gone, but I can talk. So thank you. I'm going to let it go there and just turn it back over to you. Thank you so much.
Yes, you can talk, and that's why you're a speaker. Okay, John, you go first.
Okay, wow. I'm when I
You have
think
to
about
use.
this, whoop, I got it. Oh no, I'm not muted. I thought I was muted for a second. I'm okay. Yeah. Anyway, to put it in like some just the simple terms of what Jeffrey's talking about today, because what it makes me think of is, first of all, just to make a comment about a lot of these authors that
Mm,
he mentioned, and some of these
mm,
folks wrote their books many years ago, long time ago, before a lot of things that we have is as reality today, they weren't even heard of or known of. And so, in their, however they got it out of their imaginations, whether it was dreaming or wherever it came from, they came up with things that are reality today. And, science fiction, the science of something, how it becomes real science. So I'd just like to make a comment that about crafting our futures into visions with our imagination. How do we do that? Well, Jeffrey told us about some of the exercises we could do. I'm actually sitting here and taking deep breaths and blowing it out myself and making it longer as I'm thinking here. Anyway, dream. We talk about dream big, dream bigger. And the thing is, have you ever had a situation, I know I have, where you have a dream and it seems like, well, sometimes you remember your dreams after you wake up and you think, oh, what was that all about? But I actually have dreams where I feel that in the moment, while I'm dreaming it, it is reality. I think it's real life and it's happening at that moment. And I don't realize till after I wake up, I say, wait a minute, this, I'm awake. Anyway, so what I like to say is simply this: in our imaginations, we discover real science, and so science fiction brought to life, our thoughts do become reality. So that's about all I want to say about it. Is we manifest our dreams, and so we should dream big. We should dream bigger. That's about all I'm going to say about it. But I just found this very interesting to have these thoughts all of a sudden about our dreams and about science fiction and things that weren't known but written about by men, and they became reality. So it's very interesting. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I know you have to leave early, and maybe we will leave early too, depending on who else would like to comment uh, what we have heard. Definitely, Jeffrey is a well-read, well thought through man, to come and empower us visually. with imagination, visualization. Visualization is a very, very powerful tool, you know, and Jeffrey has given us the steps, especially the exercise, going slow, and I like what he said about writing in detail. Actually, I think writing in detail also help in the visualization, because you have to detail it out. Your visualization become clearer, and then from there, one thing which is something uh, probably learning from Jeffrey is to read out loud. Powerful, isn't it? I mean, to read out loud what you have imagined, because then it goes back in. Hearing it is important and goes back into your system. To believe to the point of appreciation. Wow, that's like reality. I think, Jeffrey, when you visualize detail, read out loud to a point of appreciation, I think, if I'm not wrong, you are transformed already. Because a grateful heart is the one that transforms a person. You're a changed person because your heart is changed. And your heart is, when it is touched and being grateful, that's where the transformation happens. So it's a very powerful session, everyone here. I will do the recording, send it to everyone, and I'll see who I can send the exercise to. The exercise is actually the thing that bring us through reality with this session. So John, I'll definitely send it to you, and I will see how. Anyone else who want to raise a hand and say something? If not, um, I hope it's not premature. Maybe we can. Okay, no hands raised. Maybe we can end at 10 o'clock with this balance 2-3 minutes for Jeffrey to help us close, and then we just keep it short, sharp, exactly what Jeffrey is sharing with us. You are muted. If you can help us close this session of crafting futures with imagination visualization.
Absolutely. John, I like what you said about the dreaming. Um, you wake up and you can feel sometimes these dreams. You ever dreamt of flying? Oh my goodness. I feel so good when I wake up after dreaming about flying. It affects your body. Your mind does not know the difference between the real and the imagined. That's a beautiful thing. Um, you talked about these old writers. H.G. Wells. Remember H.G. Wells, Big Brother, 1984? I mean, not trying to put a damper on things, but there's a whole lot of Big Brother stuff been going on, you know? Cell phones, TVs, satellites in space, space travel. I mean, think about the Jetsons. Long before space travel ever became a real thing, you know? I mean, it's like, okay. And I like also that you, Mabel, you talked about reading aloud and writing. Action is the language of the body. When
Wow.
you do something, when you create an action, it has a vibration. That action has meaning and it's got energy behind it. And it reinforces to the universe, I agree with this. I'm doing this. It's now concrete in my 3D world and I'm expecting it. So when you write it out and when you speak it out, you're
Mhm.
releasing power into that and you're manifesting, you're amplifying what it is that you want to do. So it's very powerful. So thank you for bringing that up and just enjoy it. Enjoy where you are on the way to where you're going. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeffrey. We'll see you next month on the third and fourth Thursday, where he will continue on this changing the world, change your thoughts. So here, the main mission is to change the world. But before you can change the world, you have to change yourself, and you change yourself by first changing your thought. So this is what Jeffrey is going through for the months ahead, twice a month, going through this exercise with us, developing our mind. So an announcement. A couple of months ago, we have kind of planned that every fifth Thursday we will take a break. We will have a rest to rejuvenate ourselves, especially to go through the exercise that Jeffrey is giving us. So if there is a fifth Thursday in a month, we shall go into virtual and doing some exercise on our own. So thank you everyone for coming tonight, 24th July 2025. Thank you, Jeffrey, for empowering us. Thank you, John, for helping us monitor, manage this webinar, and all the hosts here, Kumaran, Joanne. Jeannie is on holiday in Penang, Malaysia. So we'll see each
Oh,
other.
nice.
Yeah, very nice. So we'll see each other in August, the
So
first
when we
Thursday of August. Thank you. Good night. Bye. Love
Yeah,
you
I gotta
all.
run. Yep. Bye bye. I'm running. Bye bye.
Yes, yes, running. Bye. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Jeffrey. Thank you.
Thank you,
bye bye.
Jeffrey. Yeah, thank you, Mabel. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Dr. Doris.
Thank you.